All right, microphone check real quick. One, two, three. That sounds totally fine, totally workable. All right, get this posted here. Oh, golly, adjust my little sound booth, improvised sound booth. All right. Let's check how much time we have left here. 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Sick. All right. Okay. Well, let's get started. Hello and welcome to Blaseball Radio 2, an unofficial home for Kansas City Breathmints Blaseball. My name is Blaseball Radio 2 host, and today we're bringing you a very special broadcast. We're going to be bringing you an encore broadcast of the Internet League Blaseball Season 22 Internet League Series between the Kansas City Breathmints and the Lift of Tokyo. This is made possible by a very interesting and cool tool developed by the Breathmints' own and Cyber's own Ileana. The tool is called Before. You can go to before.cyber.dev to check it out yourself, but basically it lets you rewind Blaseball to wherever you want. So for me, who was unable to watch the finals live, I'm now able to not just watch them, but broadcast them. And you can see here we've got 2 minutes and 46 seconds until we get underway in Game 1. This game will be played in Kansas City at the open meadow at the edge of town, where the Kansas City Breathmints play all of their home games. Winnie Hess will be on the mound for Kansas City, and Domino Bootleg will be on the mound for Tokyo. Now, the Mints' route to the finals has been relatively straightforward, all things considered, and especially previous attempts to get to the finals considered. The Breathmints, of course, have stumbled many times on that last obstacle, I guess. This time, though, the biggest obstacle was a series with the Lovers in the quarterfinals. The Mints won that 3 wins to 1, taking the first game 5.4 to 3 in Sun Point 1 weather, with Michelle Sportsman putting that underhanded blessing to use. They then lost. They were shut out by Uncle Plasma IV, who just had an incredible game on the mound for San Francisco, who took that game 2-0. The Mints bounced back, though, back in Kansas City, winning 6-0 in KC, and then a 16-inning nail-biting pitcher's duel between Juice Collins, I believe. Maybe that's the wrong Juice. Apologies to Juice. It's been such a long time. And Winnie Hess on the mound for Kansas City, which Winnie Hess was pitching a shutout until deep, deep into the game when the Lovers managed to steal a run, making it 1-1, and it then went into 5 extra innings before some clutch home runs from Marco Stink and I believe Alden Cash Money. I believe it was Alden Cash Money, the second. Really, at the death of that game, it may have been Valentine Games the third, though. Honestly, it feels like a lifetime ago. Anyway, that clinched the series for the Mints, who then went on to sweep the Crabs in the semifinals and become Mild League champions for the first time in franchise history. And now we are 37 seconds away from their first ever appearance in an Internet League series. Very exciting stuff. I'm going to check one quick thing to see if something is working before we get started here in the last seconds before we get started. Okay. Seems like we're doing all right. I'm concerned that I won't be able to see the chat because that happened last night, and I thought that I was broadcasting to one single person. So if you're in the chat and you want to help me out and spam some messages in there, that would be much appreciated. All right, we are about to get underway here. Let me click over to watch live as we get started here in Game 1 of the Internet League Series between the Tokyo Lift and the Kansas City Breathmints. Let me make sure that this looks all right on the broadcasting device. It does. Play ball. We are underway. All right, like I said before, we have Winnie Hess on the mound, who notched 19 shutouts in the regular season somehow, and we've got Yusuf Fenestrate leading off for the Tokyo Lift. Yusuf Fenestrate puts a real quick out. I think that was first or second pitch. Game log skipped, and I don't have access to replays, so this is just what I've got to work with. Liquid Friend at the plate now for the Lift, who actually had a very much more interesting route to the finals, I would say. His friend pops one fly out and Cash Money the second over there in left field. The Lift benefiting from a double loop in one of their semifinal games against the Hellmouth Sunbeams, which gave them 2 wins, even though they gave up more than 20 runs. Theodore Honeywell, or actually Thodor Honeywool, strikes out looking to close out that at bat, move us to the bottom of the first, bring the Kansas City Breathmints to the plate for the very first time. Yeah, I'm really concerned about this whole chat situation because, again, I'm not seeing any. And I know that there was last night, so. Oh well, what can you do? Hopefully it works. Rodriguez Internet at the plate here with 1 out on the board already. 0-2 count for Internet, who batted 266 on the regular season, which is on the higher side for this Kansas City Breathmints offense that has struggled at times before the addition of the Gay Pirate Thruple, those being the 3 replicas who they added through their wish list in late siesta. Rodriguez Internet, though, with a single, so we've got 1 on and 1 out, that one blooping just over the first base person and dropping into the gap. So, Internet able to get aboard here in the bottom of the first, and that'll bring Held Washington to the plate. Washington, who was swept elsewhere for a good, maybe 2/5 of the season, strikes out swinging here. One of a number of players who the Breathmints have seen swept elsewhere over the course of the season. Another one of those returning in the semifinals series, that being Jers, formerly Jode Preston. Alan Cash Money, though, close out the inning with a ground out along the third base line to Liquid Friend. Throws out at first, and that'll move us to the top of the second inning. Scoreless here in Kansas City. We are in flood weather, so there is always the chance that a player could be swept elsewhere, just to make things a little more interesting, if they weren't interesting enough for you. Cool name Galvanic, speaking of interesting, leading off for the Lift here with a quick 0-2 count after swinging at a 4-seamer from Winnie Hess that really drifted low into the strike zone, and the next one seemed to rise for the strikeout. So we've got 1 up, 1 down here for Winnie Hess, who has yet to let a Tokyo player aboard. We were only, 1.5 at-bats into this one, but again, 19 shutouts in the regular season, as we see Elwin McGee slap one into the ground for VG3 to collect at third base, throw out at first with a quick turnaround play, and that's 2 up, 2 down for Winnie Hess here in the top of the second. Grawless Zephyr, facing down the big horse with an 0-2 count, gets behind quick on the back of a couple of just blisteringly fast fastballs, and then she gets him with the changeup, strikes out swinging at a sinker there, low and away. And that's 3 up, 3 down for the second time this game. Winnie Hess not messing around in Game 1 of the Internet League Series. VG3 up to bat next, facing down Domino Bootleg. VG3 one of the Gay Pirate Thruple, so called for reasons that are very difficult to explain to people outside of the Discord. Suffice to say that the Kansas City Breathmints fandom is feral, and there's not much containing them. Okay, so we are up to Jaders, again, formerly Jode Preston. She slaps one into the ground for Yusuf Fenestrate over in the shortstop position, throws out at first, and that's 2 up, 2 down for Domino Bootleg here in the bottom of the second inning. Toonie Doctor follows that up with a first pitch ground out. And that'll close out the second, move us to the top of the third. Still scoreless here. Only one runner, I think, has gotten aboard this entire game, that being Rodriguez Internet back in the first inning. Night Triumphant will lead off for the Lift as they try to get aboard against Winnie Hess, who has been just completely locking it down so far in this one. Winnie Hess, of course, benefiting from a heist as we see Night Triumphant hit a ground out to Rodriguez Internet, stealing an item from the San Francisco Lovers in the quarterfinals that brought her up to a 10-star pitcher. Boosted specifically her ruthlessness, so she's now, I think, around 1.4 ruthlessness, which is just spectacular, I would say. Kit Honey at the plate now for the Lift with one out on the board, and that's just smacks that into the ground to VG3 over there at third base. Another easy ground out. Winnie Hess does that, though. She pitches for bad contact. That's kind of her specialization. ERA of 1.67 during the regular season and went 31-18. Both of the Breath Mints pitchers, of course, having a winning record, and the Breath Mints themselves ending up with 73-26 record. Another ground out to close out that at bat. Moves to the bottom of the third. Marco Stink, the big bug from Dallas, will lead off here for the Mints. All right, we do have some people in the chat, I think. I can't tell if these are messages from a long time ago, but if Jay said hello, BRR host, which is not my name, BRR2, BBR2 host is my name, but that's okay. If those messages are from right now, if you could do me a favor and send another one, I would appreciate it because, again, I'm a little tied up here on whether or not I'm seeing things in real time on the chat feed. Okay, there we go. They're from right now. Thank you, Buzzy Beetle. Leach Ingram at the plate now, and Leach Ingram with the extra base, that one blooping over the second base person, and just rolling into that gap. So Leach is able to advance into scoring position. We've got a runner in scoring position for the first time in this game. Goodwin Foran at the plate here, looking to bat Leach in. Leach Ingram, of course, former pitcher for the Kansas City Breath Mints. Goodwin Foran with a quick 0-2 count gets behind a domino bootleg on the back of a couple tipped fouls, but then slaps one into the ground to Liquid Friend over there at third base. Thrown out at first. Leach will advance to third, but the Breath Mints now have 2 outs on the board, so no sacrifice play available to them. Rodriguez Internet at the plate. Again, one of the Mints' most consistent hitters, and slaps one between the first and second base people to score Leach Ingram, advance to first. And that's the first run of the game here in the bottom of the third. First time that the Mints have been able to get more than one runner aboard an inning, and just the third runner to get aboard in the game. So Leach Ingram will score. The Mints will take the lead in the bottom of the third, keeping with a trend of really rallying with 2 outs. That 6-0 win over San Francisco was also on the back of a huge rally, as we see Helg Washington slap one over between second and third base to advance to first. And you got runners at the corners with 2 outs, which is what happened again in that 6-0 victory over San Francisco. They really rallied, I think, in the 4th inning, and just with 2 outs on the board, not swayed by the pressure. So we've got 2 on. Helg Washington did suffer some damage to an item there. So that's something to keep an eye on, although the Breath Mints don't have the ominous red dot that the Lift do, thanks to a good deal of E-density fiddling on the idle board and then also on renovations. Alden Cashmoney the second behind the count here after a couple of foul balls, and Liquid Friend thunderclaps a consumer to prevent an attack. Thank you to the Lift for hiring both of the hard-boiled detective replicas to fight off those nasty consumer sharks. If you haven't been around Blaseball for a while, then just if too many good things happen to your team, as we see Alden Cashmoney strike out looking to strand 2, like too many wins, too many runs, too many championships, those all weigh down your team. And the more your team is weighed down, the more in danger they are of consumer attacks. So Breath Mints are above the E-density line. They're above water, which means they can't be attacked by the sharks. But the Lift, who are below water, can. It's very confusing. Basically, the Breath Mints pulled one weird trick to flip their density and make them super light, as we see Ankle Halifax with another K on the board for Winnie Hess. And so a lot of the things that would add density to a team take density away for the Mints, and a lot of things that would take density away add density. All in all, though, the Mints basically just haven't won enough to put themselves at risk of consumer attacks, and also there's some other idle stuff that I do not even understand. As Yusuf Fenestrate strikes out looking at a four-seamer. 2 up, 2 down once again here in the top of the fourth. This time back-to-back strikeouts. We got a 1-1 count here for Liquid Friend, the 14th. Kind of bad at reading Roman numerals. And Liquid Friend strikes out swinging. So Winnie Hess strikes out the side in the top of the fourth, and the Lift have yet to get a runner on base. So perfect game so far over 4 innings for Winnie Hess. We'll see if that continues. She's had a few perfect games over the course of her career. I think maybe as many as 4 or 5. But a postseason perfect game would be kind of a cherry on top of the Winnie Hess perfect game Sunday. Even count of 1-1. Speaking of Sundays here for Valentine Games, the third. Games, though, slaps one into the ground. It rolls right past the pitcher to the second base person, thrown out at first. So 1 out on the board for Jitters. Quick 2-0 count here for Jitters, who missed 59 games of the regular season and 7 of the postseason. And grounds out here to put 2 outs on the board and bring Tootie, Mooney Doctor 2, to the plate. Tootie is I almost said magnetized. That's a completely different modifier that I don't think we're going to see introduced for another 50 seasons. Magnified. Toonie is magnified, which means that all runs batted in by Toonie count double. So solo home run, like we saw in that pitcher's duel in San Francisco, counts for 2 rather than 1. And a strikeout counts for nothing. That is unchanged. So that'll close out the 4th inning. We've got a hard-fought, hard-scrabble, low-scoring game so far over 4 innings. Winnie has yet to let a runner aboard in any way. A reminder that no-hitter is a game in which a pitcher does not allow a hit but can allow walks. A perfect game is one in which a pitcher allows neither. And Winnie Hess is another out closer to that. 2 outs now as cool name Galvanic pops one fly to Held Washington over there in left field. Collects easily. And we've got 2 up, 2 down quickly here in the top of the 5th. I think maybe 5 or 6 pitches between them. Elwyn McGee at the plate now trying to get aboard for the Lift. As I was saying before, the Lift, as Elwyn McGee strikes out swinging and cuts out my time to talk about this, not considered a postseason contender, really. Wild carded into the postseason and managed to win by losing. If you haven't been around, black holes, which once activated, once the team scored 10 runs and took a win away from the other team, now they give a win because the negative win has been squared. -1 times -1 equals 1. So you get a win for losing by 10 runs or more. I know, it's a lot. Leach Ingram at the plate now. Scored the only run in this one so far, way back in the 2nd. Gets aboard again with a base hit in the gap between 2nd and 3rd, right over the shortstop. Drops, though, in time to prevent an extra base hit, but Leach is aboard. 1 on, 1 out. Goodwin foreign. And a surge of Immateria rushes up from under. So Leach Ingram is swept elsewhere. And the anti-flood pumps activate, which make the meadow a filthier place, which is good for Rodriguez Internet, who plays better at filthy grounds. But I don't know if the Mints are going to be able to play better without Leach Ingram, who's actually, by Stars, their best regular hitter outside of the replicas. Goodwin foreign, one of those replicas, grounds out. So 3 up, 2 down, and 1 elsewhere so far. And Rodriguez Internet closes out the inning with a ground out to Kit Honey. So the Breath Mints down a lineup player again. It's happened so many times this season, and they are missing Keenan Larson, who's the player designated to rescue elsewhere players, the Seeker, because Keenan Larson is in the shadows after voicemailing out 2 seasons ago. It's hard to keep track. Even count of 1-1 here for Grawless Zephyr in the top of the 6th. Yeah, we'll see if... again, it would be a significant loss for the Mints to lose Leach. I mean, they came into this one overwhelming favorites. The Lift are definitely underdogs in this entire series. You can see 38% as Growlithe Zephyr strikes out looking. So you could argue that maybe the Mints won't need Leach, but then again, they've only been able to put one run up so far in this one. So I think that you always need Leach all the time. Knight Triumphant at the plate with one out on the board, gets behind in the count real quick after a tip foul and one that lands in the bleachers, the conceptual bleachers. Again, there are no bleachers here at the open meadow at the edge of town. It's just an open meadow. It's very hard to tell what's happening at any given moment because of the lack of bleachers and other structures. Triumphant grounds out, though, to VG3 at third base. And that's 2 up, 2 down. Winnie Hess yet to let a runner aboard 6 innings into the game. Kit Honey, the next to face down the giant horse who came to the Mints from the Baltimore Crabs in Season 2 with just 2.5 stars to her name and is now a 10-star monster and is putting those stars to good use. Even counted 2-2, though, after a couple fastballs miss high and inside the intimidation pitch. Next one, though, clips the top left corner of the strike zone, and Kit Honey swings at it and misses. So, yeah, Winnie Hess perfect through 6 in this Game 1 of the Internet League Series. Helg Washington at the plate for the Breathmans, who will look to recover from, let's just be honest, Team Talisman, Leach Ingram, who incidentally owns a lot of talismans. Helg Washington, though, grounds out to Kid Honey. And we've got 1 up, 1 down for the Mets here in the bottom of the 6th. Domino Bootleg, all things considered, keeping a pretty good handle on a Mint's offense again, bolstered by those replicas. Alton Cash Money, one of those replicas at the plate now. Cash Money with some pretty cash money plays in that Crabs semifinal series. Strikes out looking here, though, and that's 2 up, 2 down. Nobody on. 1 run separating these two teams in the bottom of the 6th. Valentine Games the third, VG3, who had some, I would say, cringe plays in that Baltimore Crab series, grounds out here tonight, triumphant. Valentine Games the third. If you didn't catch that last game of the Crabs semifinal, which the Breathmans won 0 to -1, Valentine Games is the reason that they ended up with 0, because they did have 3 runs, I think, going into the 8th inning, and Valentine Games put up like a 3-run bomb, I think. 2 home runs in that game anyway. Even count against an underhanded pitcher, I should say. That's why they were negative runs and not positive runs. The Mint's own underhanded pitcher, Michelle Sportsman, will be up next, by the way. Klein Green Lemon grounds out to Goodwin Foreign. And that's another runner who cannot get past this giant horse who's blocking the way to the base for the lift. Ankle Halifax grounds out next to Judders. And we've got 2 outs, nobody on the top of the 7th. Mint's still leading 1-0. Yusuf Fenestrate will be the next pit player in the pre-penultimate at-bat for the lift. I think that's correct. I don't think pre-penultimate's a word. Another ground out, though. Winnie Hess loves that bad contact, and Yusuf Fenestrate obliges, slapping one into the ground there. A little chopper, which Valentine Games the third comes off of third base, throws out at first. And that's another inning with 3 up, 3 down. Winnie Hess perfect through 7 here in the over bracket matchup. In the under bracket, the Millennials are leading the Dale 8-2. Caleb Novak pitching for the Dale, so that explains that. Jaders, with the first out, will bring Toonie Doctor to the plate. 0-1 count for Toonie Doctor, who joined the team actually as a replica, replacing Atlas Guerra, I believe, way back in season 8, 9. Doesn't matter. As the second out of this inning, or of this at-bat, I should say, and brings Marco Stink, the big bug from Dallas, who joined the team way back when from Dallas, from the Stakes, I should say. Pops one fly to Kit Honey, who gets under it, and yep, that's an easy out. That'll move us to the bottom of the 7th, or the top of the 8th, I should say. The lift with 2 more chances to get back into this one. Again, it's just a 1-run game, so, but 1 run against Winnie Hess is sometimes as hard as 10 against, let's say, Caleb Novak. Liquid Friend, the 14th at the plate here for the lift. Again, those Roman numerals really getting me. Liquid Friend will strike out looking here to put the first out of this at-bat on the board in the top of the 8th. Dale and Millennials still separated by 6 runs. Millennials leading 8-2 in Miami. 0-2 count here for Fedor Honeywell of the lift. And Honeywell will strike out looking at a breaking ball there from Winnie Hess, who mixes them in with just blistering 150-mile-an-hour fastballs to make the hitters think that they've got a chance and then cruelly snatch it away at the last second. She does have a very particular sense of humor. 0-2 count for cool name Galvanic, who strikes out looking, and Winnie Hess is perfect through 8. Yet to let a runner aboard here in Kansas City in this game 1 of this first 3-win series. And Leach Ingram, our beloved, is elsewhere. The Mints keeping it together defensively through 8 innings, and now looking to extend that lead here in the bottom of the 8th, which is historically when the Mints have been known to come alive sometimes. Good win 4-0 though, with the chopper there to put the first out on the board. Easy ground out for the lift. That'll bring Rodriguez Internet to the plate with the 0-1 count. The Smithy beckons to Rodriguez Internet, and the Kansas City Breathman's underperforming Smithy repairs Internet's item, which is a boon, I should say, in a game where the Mints have lost a star hitter. Having another star hitter's item repaired is good. Doesn't help them get aboard here, though, with the ground out to cool name Galvanic at shortstop. 2 up, 2 down. Nobody on, and a 1-0 game for Helg Washington, who will step up to the plate next for Kansas City. 0-1 count, 1-2 count, I should say, for Helg Washington, who gets behind and strikes out looking at a knuckleball there, or maybe a fastball with some knuckle on it, I should say, from Domino Bootleg. Helg Washington, not the most disciplined slugger in the game, but a decent one nonetheless. Elwin McGee up here leading off in the Lift's final at-bat of the game, unless they tie things up and we go to extras, and gets behind real quick. 0-2 count after looking at a four-seamer there. Another one misses high and away for the 1-2. And Elwin McGee strikes out swinging, so Winnie Hess is 2 outs away from a perfect game in this game 1 of this series, which would be a statement, I think, for the Kansas City Breathman's pitcher. Grala Zephyr hits a fly out, so now the big horse is 1 out away from a perfect game. A postseason perfect game. I don't know if that's been done before. It can't have happened many times, if it's happened at all. Night Triumphant 0-2, so 1 strike away from a perfect game for Winnie Hess. And she does it! Night Triumphant strikes out looking at a sinker from Winnie Hess, which was low and away, chases it. And Winnie Hess closes out a perfect game in Game 1 of this postseason series between the Kansas City Breathmans and the Tokyo Lift. That's remarkable. I've never seen anything like that. Of course, some other things happened in that game. Helg Washington's hardy smooth arm shoes were damaged, which is unfortunate. Liquid Friend did protect the Lift against a consumer attack. Leach Ingram, the biggest event in that game, was swept elsewhere, which is a worry for Kansas City Breathmans fans. And Rodriguez Internet's cryogenic rock jersey was repaired by the Kansas City Breathmans slacking Smithy. So an eventful Game 1, even if it ends with just 1 single run scored. Here in Kansas City, next the Mints will go to Tokyo. Well, let's just check on that under-bracket game. Dale look on course to under-bracket unwin, I guess. The way that you win in the under-bracket is by losing, and the Dale are doing a great job of that, losing 3-11 in the bottom of the 6th over there. But let's look at what's coming up here. Okay, we can't see what's coming up because that doesn't generate until this game ends. Oh, and I'm being informed by the chat that ties the record of for the number of perfect games, I'm assuming career, for Winnie Hess, which is just, testament to her strength. She is a powerful horse. That power was on full display. So I could wait for this game to finish to tell me what's coming up. But instead, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this tool here, before.cyber.dev, and I can actually manipulate time itself. So I'm going to skip forward 15 minutes and see where that leaves us. All right. That leaves us with 20 minutes, so I can skip forward 15 minutes again, and then we will be underway. But let's just check this out before we get started. Michelle Sportsman will be on the mound for the Mints in Tokyo. Uncle Plasma, the 14th. Yes, the data witches are truly powerful beings. Oh, 3 perfect games for Winnie Hess, that being her third. Just unbelievable. That's something that most pitchers maybe achieve. Actually, most pitchers just don't achieve it over the course of their careers. Perfect games are very rare, and Winnie Hess has notched 3 of them. I don't know. I don't really know how to emphasize the gravity of that, but it is powerful gravity. Uncle Plasma, the 14th, replica of the Mint's beloved former pitcher Uncle Plasma, who was lost to the plot in the last elections, or the previous elections rather, not the last ones. Will be on the mound for Tokyo. It'll be flooding weather, so either of these teams could lose more players. Actually, in her own twisted way, Winnie Hess was protecting the Lift players from being swept elsewhere by just not letting them get on base. Michelle Sportsman's underhanded. Uncle Plasma, the 14th, is not. So if the Lift hit any home runs, it'll count as unruns and count against them. Something to keep an eye on. I'm going to skip forward one more time, and we will be 3 minutes and change out from this game. Let's look at how that Dale and Millennials game. Oh my God, Caleb Novak. The Millennials, 25-4 over the Dale, who are starting out the under bracket strong, it has to be said. And that game was eventful as well. Conrad Vaughn was swept elsewhere. So Leach Ingram, not the only player to be swept elsewhere in the postseason. Thomas Drack flipped Conrad Vaughn negative. I think that might be an Undertaker thing. I'm not really familiar with exactly all of the things that can happen to players, or that other players can do to other players in this game, but I think that that's what that is. I think that's an Undertaker thing. And that flips Conrad Vaughn's negative density. Oh boy, we've got another news flash here from Game All in the chat, who I believe is Jay from the Discord. Shout out to Jay. Jay wins. Winnie with the first perfect. So I think first perfect game for the Kansas City Breath Mints, which was her first career perfect game. Her second was the first extra innings perfect game, and the third is the first Internet Series perfect game. Yeah, just a pitcher for big occasions, I think, is the way that you would say that, is Winnie Hess. Let's see how much time we've got left. We've got 2 minutes and 13 seconds before we get underway in Tokyo. Let's take a look at this Lift team, because I'm not super familiar. I know that they've got Liquid Friend, the 14th here, replica on their team. Night Triumphant, one to watch. Formerly, I believe, way back when, of the Chicago Fire or the San Francisco Lovers. I think San Francisco Lovers. And Baby Triumphant is originally of the Chicago Fighters, and still plays there. Yeah, Liquid Friend, a lot of the stars are fake. Kind of not as good, but I think overperforms at home. Definitely underperforms on the road. I know that much is true. Yusuf Fenestrate, cool name Galvanic. They've got some big star players, Grawless Zephyr, and no batters under 4 stars, it seems, apart from Elwin McGee, who's a 3.5 star batter. Compare that to the Breath Mints, and you'll see that the Breath Mints batting stars are on average a little lower. Not dramatically, I guess, but you can also see that the highest starred batters on the team are the replicas here. Valentine Games third, Alton Cash Money the second, Aldu, and Goodwin Foreign here. Leach Ingram, the only one giving them a run for their money, and she is still on a smoke break. So what can you do? The Breath Mints will look to rally. Michelle Sportsman has a negative .35 ERA in the regular season, thanks to that underhanded modifier that converts home runs and all runs scored on home runs to unruns. We'll see if that comes into play. It certainly has already in the postseason. Again, like I mentioned earlier, kind of saving the Breath Mints against the Lovers, converting their home runs into decimal runs. in Sun Point 1 weather, which again, if you're just tuning into Blaseball for the first time in maybe a month, a couple months, it's a lot. It's a lot for those of us who've been watching as well. All right. So we should be getting underway here in just a few seconds, 0 seconds to be precise. And here we go. Let me make sure that this is centered properly on the transmission device. It looks like it is. Maybe raise it up a little bit. Looks fine. And we are underway here in Tokyo. I don't actually know where the Lift play. They play in the gym, of course. That may be the nickname. I don't really remember how ballpark names work. Liquid Friend, the 14th, is happy to be at home. I think that does mean that, yeah, they're, what is it? It's a homebody? What is the modifier here for Liquid Friend? That is coming into play here. Homebody, yeah. So overperform at home, underperform away. And we are at home for the Tokyo Lift. So we will see some overperforming from Liquid Friend, hopefully in the shape of home runs. We saw a Liquid Friend for the Crabs ding a home run against Michelle Sportsman in the semifinals. So see if we see a replica of that here. Top of the first, 2 outs on the board real quick for the Breathmints, who are facing down Uncle Plasma the 14th. The Breathmints really suffered at the hands of another Uncle Plasma replica against the Lovers. The one loss that they've had in this entire postseason campaign, which is pretty incredible. 6 wins, 1 loss in this postseason. But Uncle Friend was really shoving in that game, and the Mints offense really couldn't get much to go at all. So Yusuf Fenestrate, the magnified hitter for the Lift, will pop one fly over there for Rodriguez Internet. Steps back behind first base, collects that one easily. Little basket catch there from Rodriguez Internet, just styling on him. That'll bring Liquid Friend, the 14th, overperforming to the plate. We'll get behind to the count real quick after a couple strikes, and strikes out swinging at a changeup there for Michelle Sportsman, a little 12-6 curve. She does love her breaking balls, I should say. And Theodore Honeywell will pop one fly to Marco Stink over in left field. So a quick first inning. Neither team able to get aboard. 3 up, 3 down in both cases, both halves of the inning. And that'll move us to the top of the second and bring Kansas City to the plate. Alden Cash Money will be leading off for the Mints. Cash Money the second, one of those 3 replicas who the Mints purchased to bolster their offense. The Mints offense lagging in the early season, I have to say, when they were at full strength, as we see Cash Money rack up a quick 3-0 count. And Blaseball players refuse to take walks. Cash Money out on a grounder instead of just taking the walk that looked inevitable, honestly. 0-1 count here for Valentine Games third. Anyway, as I was saying, the Breathmints offense lagging in the early season. A number of them swept elsewhere. At one point, the Breathmints lineup was 3 players wide, as we see VG3 with another grounder for the second out of the game. And right around then, actually, the offense started to pick up. That 3-person offense, which consisted of Mooney Doctor 2, Rodriguez Internet, and Marco Stink, I believe, were the 3. Really started to pick things up as we see the Mints close out another at-bat without getting on base. After that, Leach Ingram came back, and then the Mints ordered 3 brand new replica hitters through their wish list, and they had those for the final 24 games. Cool Name Galvanic hits a solo home run, and the alley-oop will proc. Ewan Elwyn McGee slamming that one down, the one-handed jam, which cancels out the unrun. Don't ask me to do the math on that. I do not and cannot do that. But I just know that buckets and alley-oops will cancel out unruns on solo dingers. So still neutral here, despite that solo homer, which would usually score 2. Growler Zephyr at the plate now for the Lift, who have 1 out on the board. Even count of 2-2 for Growler Zephyr after a cutter misses high and away. And Growler Zephyr gets on top of a curveball, slaps it into the ground for Mark Ostink, who steps up to the shortstop position, throws out at first, and we've got 2 outs on the board. Night Triumphant, though, does manage to get aboard with a single splitting the first and second base. And we've got 1 on with 2 outs after that base hit. So no perfect game for Michelle Sportsman, but that's not exactly what she's known for. As Knight Triumphant steals into scoring position and then steals onto third. 2 consecutive steals there from Knight Triumphant. No sacrifice play, though. 2 outs on the board for Kit Honey, so Kit Honey will need a base hit or more to score Triumphant. 0-2 count, though, gets behind real quick and strikes out swinging at another 12-6 curve for Michelle Sportsman, who's really favoring that breaking ball here in Game 2 of this postseason series between the Kansas City Breathmints and the Tokyo Lift. Elsewhere, the Millennials have once again taken the lead over the Dale, 2-0 in the top of the second in reverb weather at Batten Island. Toonie Doctor will lead off for the Breathmints here at the top of the third. You ideally want Toonie as a kind of cleanup hitter, but because this lineup is extended by those replica players, she has ended up leading off a number of innings and strikes out to lead off the top of the third here in Game 2 and bring Marco Stink to the plate with 1 out. Marco Stink with some clutch base hits in the semifinals against the Crabs. Everyone expected him to hit home runs, as he is wont to do, and with an extra base hit here. Speak of the devil, Marco Stink's proving that he's not just a slugger. He can also hit those doubles and those base hits as well. Leach Ingram still elsewhere, so Goodwin Foran will be the one with the chance to bat in the big bug from Dallas here in the top of the third and get the first runs of the game on the board. 2-0 count, but Goodwin Foran, instead of again taking the walk, grounds out to Yusuf Fenestrate. Marco Stink on third, Rodriguez Internet at the plate, and Internet with a double. One of those increasingly common Rodriguez Internet extra base hits. That'll score Marco Stink, and the Mints will take a 1-0 lead here in the top of the third. Again, rallying with 2 outs on the board. I don't know why they do this. I don't know why they do anything, but it's working, so why not? Hug Washington at the plate now with Rodriguez Internet on second. Gets behind in the count real quick on the back of a couple of foul balls, but then latches onto a fastball. Slaps it over there between the second and third base for the base hit. Rodriguez Internet will score on that. And the Mints will once again rally for more than 1 run with 2 outs on the board. Again, they like to live on the edge, I guess, these Breathmints. And Alden Cash Money will get a base hit. This one splitting first and second base off of a curveball that just hung up in the center of the zone for a little too long. And Valentine Games will slam a 3-run bomb, a line drive that just kept going, pulled into left field over the wall, and the Mints will take a 5-0 lead here in the top of the third. Just unbelievable the way that these Mints rally with 2 outs on the board. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's been the case throughout this entire postseason. Jaders will strike out looking at a curveball there to close out the inning, but the Mints tack on 5, or close out the at-bat, in the top of the third, and the Lift now have to answer. Klein Greenlemon up to bat now, formerly of the Dallas Stakes, grounds out for the first out of this at-bat. Now, without underhanded, the Mints would only be winning by 3 instead of by 5, so, make of that what you will. What I will make of that is that Michelle Sportsman is an ideally suited underhand pitcher. In fact, her stats are such that she actually gives up home runs. Those are the runs that she gives up more than any other runs. So she's perfectly adapted to be an underhanded pitcher. And again, she is a permanently underhanded pitcher. It's not an item. That is a blessing that granted her that back when she was on the Unlimited Tacos. Egil Halifax puts up the second out of this at-bat for the Lift, who have a 5-run deficit to make up here in Game 2 of this postseason. Yusuf Fenestrate, the magnified hitter for the Lift, up to the bat next with a 2-0 count here off of Michelle Sportsman, who manages to land a curveball in the strike zone there. Fenestrate thought that was a little low, but the ump did not agree. And so Sportsman did it again. Back-to-back curveballs, and then the third one Yusuf Fenestrate does get a hold of, but dings it over into the bleachers here in the gym, and draws a full count before striking out looking at another sinker from Michelle Sportsman, who's really favoring those breaking balls. Well, I guess the sinker is a changeup, but Tun's not here probably, so I don't have to worry about getting those terms right. Toonie at the plate here for the Mints. The magnified hitter leading off once again after I think the Mints batted around with 2 outs on the board in the third, sitting on a comfortable 5-run lead here in the top of the fourth. Tooney will strike out looking at a fastball two-seamer there from Uncle Plasma the fourth, who does favor those fastballs. High ruthlessness pitcher, so a lot of strikes and strikeouts, but a couple bad contact outs here as Marco Stink provides the second out of the inning. Leaching room remains elsewhere. We haven't seen anyone else swept elsewhere. Luckily, the Breathments during that rally didn't lose any more players. And Goodwin Foreign steps up to the plate and immediately grounds out to Cool Name Galvanic over at shortstop. And that'll move us to the bottom of the fourth. Lift with another chance to cut away the Breathments' 5-run lead here in the bottom of the fourth. Liquid Friend the 14th at the plate now with an even count of 1-1 after what was that? That was like an ephus. Liquid Friend, though, seizes on to a curveball that had a little bit too much float on it, and so the Lift do have a leadoff base hit specifically, for Theodore Honeywell to try to advance with no outs on the board. Liquid Friend, though, won't wait for it. Will steal into scoring position on second base, and Theodore Honeywell's job gets a little bit easier as a base hit could score Liquid Friend, and instead Honeywell will hit a triple. The Lift small balling with no outs. And so they have a sac play on the board here and 1 run as well. So the deficit is cut to 4. Cool Name Galvanic will step up to the plate with a chance to bat in. And Cool Name Galvanic will hit a triple. Back-to-back triples, which will put another run on the board. So it's now a 2-5 game. The Lift rallying here with no outs in the bottom of the fourth. The Mints suffering at the hands of triples against the Crabs in the semifinals. And McGee will take advantage of that runner on third to score on the sacrifice, chopping one into the ground for Jerders. A little sacrifice play there, sacrifice ground ball. And the Lifter within 2 of the Breathments. So Michelle Sportsman on the mound, only 1 out so far in the bottom of the fourth, will be looking for an opportunity to get some unruns on the board as well and chip away at the runs that the Lift have put up there. But Growlithe Zephyr is not cooperating. Slaps a base hit between first and second base. And the Lift have a runner aboard again here in the bottom of the fourth. Night Triumphant will look to continue this small ball that the Lift have been playing really effectively here in the fourth. Night Triumphant, though, pops one fly to Rodriguez Internet, which will advance the runner into scoring position for Kit Honey. The tying run is at the plate. Although, again, if Kit Honey does hit a home run, then it will not be a tying run. It will be an untying run. Untying unrun. Kit Honey with a 1-2 count here off of Michelle Sportsman. And wouldn't you know it, before Kit Honey has the chance for another RBI after the Lift bat around, Growlithe Zephyr gets caught stealing third base. That'll close out an inning in which the Lift tack on 3 to cut the deficit to 2 as we move into the top of the fifth. By hook or by crook, the Mints will look to increase that lead. Not a good start, though, as Rodriguez Internet grounds out for the first out of this at-bat, bringing Helg Washington to the plate. 0-1 count here for Washington. Washington still recovering those letters in her name. Famously once was swept elsewhere and came back Ga-Ahino, a nickname that stuck. But Helg Washington here struck out for the second out of the at-bat. That'll bring Alden Cash Money the second, Aldu, to the plate, and immediately on the first pitch, Cash Money will ground out to Growlithe Zephyr. And that'll move us to the bottom of the fifth. Tokyo Lift looking to chip away even further at the Breathments' lead. Maybe tie things up here in the bottom of the fifth. If they're able to rally like they did in the fourth, they'll take the lead. Kit Honey will lead off for the Lift. Even count of 1-1. Honey will get the leadoff single here in the bottom of the fifth. So that's how the fourth started, with a leadoff base hit from Liquid Friend, who then stole into scoring position. And Kit Honey does the exact same thing here in the bottom of the fifth. I don't think it's before. I think that this game is just repeating itself. 0-1 count, even count of 1-1 for Klein Greenlemon after a cutter misses high and away. And curveball there misses low and away. That one really had some break on it. Klein Greenlemon will ground out, and that'll advance Kit to third base. So the Lift with another sac play to bring the game within one, if they're able to convert. And they do. Cat Halifax slaps one into the ground for Rodriguez Internet at first base. That gives Kit Honey enough time to run from third to home. And the Lift are within one here in the bottom of the fifth, showing some fight for the first time in this series. Now that the oppressive Whitney Hess isn't on the mound, the Lift are taking advantage of some small ball to get some runs past Michelle Sportsman. 1-2 count here for Yusuf Fenestrate. Here, trying to continue the rally, but strikes out looking at what was that? That was like a fork ball from Sportsman, who does not throw a lot of fast pitches, but that was a quick one. And so the Lift tack on one in the bottom of the fifth, and are now just one run away from tying things up. So the Breathmans with some work to do here in the top of the sixth if they want a little bit of added insurance. Elsewhere, the Millennials still leading the Dale 2-0 in the top of the fifth over there in New York. VG3 at the plate here, who again hit a lot of home runs at a bad time, but hit a really good home run at a good time here in this one, Game 2 of the Internet League Series. 1-2 count here for Valentine Games, who stays alive with a tipped foul ball. And bit of lag here on the game log, but Valentine Games does manage to split second and third there for the base hit. And so this time the Mints have the leadoff run aboard. That'll bring Jaders to the plate as Valentine Games, as Games is wont to do, steals second base and then advances to third on a grounder from Jaders. Cool name Galvanic collecting that one at shortstop. Unable to turn a double play, though, of course. There's no force out available to them. And so we've got a sac play available for Toonie Doctor, who, if she grounds out or flies out and Valentine Games scores, it'll count as 2 runs because of that magnification. Again, she could just bat Valentine Games in the old-fashioned way, or she could hit a 2-run bomb over the right field wall, and that'll put 4 runs on the board for the Breathmans here in the top of the 6th. The Mints now leading 9-4. Unbelievable. So, underhanded is only come into play to cancel out 2 runs from a home run from the Lift. So the Breathmans just leading this one, and Marco Stink, the big bug from Dallas, a hit with some altitude and some exit velo. That went into the second tier of the stands here at the gym. Oh golly, the Breathmans deciding to have a little bit of a slug party here in the top of the 6th inning with some incredible home runs, and they fax Uncle Plasma. I forgot about the fax machine. The fax machine in play, so Uncle Plasma will be faxed, and that'll bring Cootie D. Batterino to the mound for the Lift. Unbelievable. So I think that's the second Plasma replica to be faxed in Season 22, as we see Goodwin Foreign continue the rally with a double to get into scoring position. Just merciless from the Breathmans faxing a replica of their former pitcher, who did fax a couple times, I believe, when he was a Breathmans pitcher. So you got a runner on third, that being Goodwin Foreign. And we got Helga Washington at the plate in an inning in which the Mints have hit 2 home runs and extended their lead to 6 runs. And Goodwin Foreign doesn't wait for Helga Washington to make contact in any way. He just steals fourth base to bring the Breathmans to 11 in the top of the 6th. Goodness gracious. Extending their lead by 6 runs here in the top of the 6th, which seems appropriate. Helga Washington, though, making Cootie D. Batterino put some work in. A warm welcome for Cootie D. Batterino, who does manage to throw a breaking ball there that Helga Washington gets on top of to close out the inning. But the Breathmans tack on 6 in the top of the 6th to take an 11-4 lead over the Lift here in Game 2 of the over bracket. Liquid Friend, the 14th, will lead off for the Mints. For the Lift, rather. Liquid Friend and Uncle Plasma, of course, never brought together when they were active players. The Mints really unable to do that for most of the time that both of the players were on the board because they were not exchangeable with anybody else except for each other. Liquid Friend, though, takes advantage of Michelle Sportsman's generosity and gets aboard via a walk. That'll bring Theodore Honeywell to the plate for the lift. And Honeywell will force Friend out at second base, reaching on a fielder's choice there. So we've got 1 on, 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. The lift with a lot of ground to make up after a really good rally back in the 4th, I think, or the 5th. But yeah. Cool name Galvanic, though. Splits second and third. Blooping a single base hit, so we've got a runner in scoring position. 2 on, 1 out for Elwyn McGee. What the lift do not want to do here is hit a home run, because that would just make this very difficult for them. Instead, they'll load the bases with another base hit, this one from Elwyn McGee. So the lift get 3 aboard with 1 out. Growlus Zephyr here to try to inflict some pain. We'll see if Michelle Sportsman can get out of the jam with just 1 out on the board so far and bases loaded. Instead, 2 quick balls as curveballs miss, slowing away. But that Breathman's defense comes into play here as the force out happens at 4th base there. So throw to the catcher, steps on the plate, and that's the 4th out. So no sac plays available, and Knight Triumphant will strand 3 with a ground out to Goodwin Foran. So danger zone there for a little bit for the Breathmans, but they are able to get out of the jam courtesy of some bad contact pitching from Michelle Sportsman. And that'll move us to the top of the 7th. Alden Cash Money leading off for the Mints, who look comfortable, I have to say, here in Game 2. The Breathmans definitely the favorites coming into the finals. It has to be said. But, the Lift have shown that they can do some things by putting 4 runs on the board, but the Breathmans offense just too powerful here in Game 2. Even count at 2-2 for Alden Cash Money, the second, so that's appropriate. But full count now after a cutter misses low and away, and Alden Cash Money will strike out swinging at a 2-seamer. That was a little bit inside, but the ump called the strike, and that's that. That's all you can do. Well, it was a swinging strike, so it doesn't matter where it was. Valentine Games the third, though, gets on top of a curveball to ground out for the second out of this at-bat here at the top of the 7th. Jadur's grounds out to close out the at-bat, move us to the bottom of the 7th, bring the Tokyo Lift to the plate once again. The Lift with that blinking red dot, but protected by those 2 hard-boiled detectives. Although, are they protected by the detectives now that one of them is in the shadows? I don't know. Kit Honey grounds out to Toonie Doctor to start out this at-bat. And we've got 1 out with nobody on. Here in the bottom of the 7th, Klein Greenlemon gets on top of another breaking ball for Michelle Sportsman for the grounder. And that'll bring Ankle Halifax to the plate with 2 outs on the board, which for most teams means trouble, but for the Mints, sometimes means rallies. 0-2 count here for Ankle Halifax. After swinging at a curveball there, the go-to 12-6 curve that Sportsman favors so much with that underhanded submarine pitching style. A lot of breaking birds, a lot of breaking balls, a lot of change-ups, a lot of movement in general. Not speed, but movement is what Sportsman favors. And that underhanded submarine style means that a lot of those pitches rise, which is something that batters are just not used to. So it makes it even more difficult for them to make contact. Toonie Doctor the second, pops one fly into right field on the first pitch, and Yusuf Fenestrate collects in foul territory. So we got 1 out on the board. Marco Stink, who's got a home run to his name so far in this one. A home run and a double, I think, here at the top of the 8th. So not a lot of time to hit for the cycle, but it is within reach. Just a base hit and a triple. Although Marco Stink does not really hit triples, and grounds out here to Kid Honey. So that pretty much closed out the chances of a cycle for Marco Stink, but still, 2 hits in a game is pretty dang good. 2 for 4 for the big bug. Goodwin Foran, speaking of fours, at the plate now for the Mints, with 2 outs on the board. Racks up a quick 2-0 count. There's a couple fastballs. One misses high and away, and Goodwin Foran slams a solo homer. Rodriguez Internet hops up, does a 360, and slams it down with 2 hands for the extra run. So the Breathmans go up 13-4 in the top of the 8th. Internet will ground out to Cool Name Galvanic to close out that at-bat, but the Breathmans looking very comfortable here in Game 2 of the Over Bracket, Season 22. Yusuf Fenestrate. Yusuf Fenestrate goes long with a line drive over the right field wall, but Liquid Friend goes up for the alley-oop and slams it down, and so that'll cancel out that unrun and keep the lift at 4. So far, Michelle Sportsman's underhanded style really just coming into play to cancel out some extra runs rather than score some unruns. Sportsman here giving Liquid Friend an easy 3-1 count. Some good plate discipline, but not enough to not swing on a 3-1 count. Liquid Friend gets on top of that one, chops it, and it's an easy grounder for the Breath Mints. The Breath Mints just a couple outs away from going up 2 wins in this first 3-win series against the Tokyo Lift. Theodore Honeywell, though, will pop one fly to Held Washington in right field, collects easily enough, and that's 2 up, 2 down here in the bottom of the 8th. Cool name Galvanic. Up next for the Lift. 1-0 count here for Galvanic, and an even count of 1-1. Again, 2 outs on the board. So, no pressure, but gets behind in the count after swinging at another curveball, and then gets on top of another one. That one an infield base hit. The shortstop just not able to collect that in time. So we've got 2 outs, 1 on here at the bottom of the 8th for Elwin McGee. McGee with an even count of 1-1 after tipped foul. Looking to advance the runner with 2 outs. Only one way to do that, and that is through a hit. Elwin McGee, 3-1 count. I guess could also advance the runner with a walk. But instead, swings on the 3-1 count. This time it doesn't go well. And that'll close out the 8th inning, moving us into the top of the 9th. One more at-bat for the Lift to try to get into this. One more at-bat for the Breath Mints to take them further out. Held Washington will lead off for the Breath Mints here. Held Washington, a product of the Kansas City Breath Mints Shadows. The Breath Mints with only a handful of original players left on their team, as we see Washington ground out, but a fair number of Shadows players who I think count as original Mints as well, even if they weren't actually on the active roster before they were called up from the Shadows. The only ones who have been active over the course of the franchise's history, as Alden Cash Money provides the second out of this at-bat for the Lift, are Rodriguez Internet, of course, who's been around since Season 1, and Leach Ingram, who is currently elsewhere and started out as a pitcher way back in Season 1. Winnie Hess did join in Season 2, and so in many ways I think she is considered an original Mint, even if technically she's not one, but I think most people see her as one. Valentine Games will close out that at-bat. Potentially the Mints last, unless the Lift are able to put up 9 runs to tie this up and send it to extras. Kathoom! Liquid Friend, though, will clothesline a consumer. So apparently that still works, even if one of the detectives is in the Shadows, which is an interesting scientific discovery. Grawless Zephyr at the plate now for the Lift, leading off here in the bottom of the 9th. Trailing by 9 runs. Nothing to sneeze at if you're in the sneezing mood. Even count a 1-1 here for Grawless Zephyr. Anyway, as I was saying, a number of other Mints have been taken out from the Shadows. Other Mints have been sent back to the Shadows, like our beloved Marquez Clark and Gray Alvarado, Atlas Guerra, and Polka Dot Zavala. So, yeah, Rodriguez Internet, Leach Ingram, the only 2 still around as the Breath Mints come 1 out closer to going up 2-0 in this franchise first Internet League Series. 0-1 count here for Night Triumphant, though. And Night Triumphant does manage to get aboard with a base hit, splitting second and third base. Little blooper that goes over the shortstop. And so we've got 1 on, 1 out. And Night Triumphant will once again steal into scoring position for Kit Honey. Stop me if you've heard this one before. But don't stop me, because I have the rest of this series to call. Night Triumphant steals third base, and so the sac play is at hand. The Lift can bring it to bear. Kit Honey at the plate. And Kit Honey doesn't settle for the sack, but bloops a single over the first base person. And that'll score Night Triumphant. So we've got a 13-5 game The Mints now just sitting on an 8-run lead rather than a 9-run lead. Klein Green-Lemon at the plate now with a runner on and one out. The Lift able to small ball their way back into things slightly there. Klein Green-Lemon, though, will pop one fly to VG3, steps back from third base, collects that one easily enough, and we've got a runner in scoring position, and we've got 2 outs on the board for Ankle Halifax of the Lift. 1 out away from closing out another successive Breath Mints postseason win. Even count of 1-1 here for Ankle Halifax, and Halifax gets on top of a curveball, slaps that into the ground. Toonie Doctor steps away from second base, throws out at first, and the Breath Mints win this one 13-5 to go up 2 wins in this first to 3-win series. The Mints will go back to Kansas City next. The Lift will also travel to Kansas City, and we'll see if the Breath Mints are able to sweep the Lift, potentially. It's on the table at their home grounds. You can see that the Dale and Millennials, that game has ended, and the Dale taking the unwin, 2-0, or 0-2, I should say, over the New York Millennials. So they go up 2 unwins in that series, and that means that we can check on what our weather's going to be. Are you kidding me? Oh, golly. Polarity weather in the postseason. If you're not familiar with polarity weather, at any point in the game, the polarity can switch and runs will become unruns. So it's completely unpredictable. It's basically a coin flip, really. That is stressful. But Winnie Hess will be on the mound for the Mints. Silver Semi-Quaver on the mound for the Lift. And then over there in the under bracket, they'll be going back to Miami with Howell Rocha on the mound for the Dale, and Knee Carve on the mound for the Millennials. We'll be right back here. I'm going to do the little skip trick again, but first I'm going to go and get some more water from the cooler here in the converted deer stand from which we broadcast all of our games at Blaseball Radio 2, so I'll be back in just a jiffy. All right, I'm back. I'm hydrated, and I'm ready to go. All right, so we've got 25 minutes. Oh, all right, that might be tricky. So I can do my jump forward 15 minutes trick, but now we've got 10 minutes to kill. What if I go back an hour and then jump forward 15 minutes 3 times? Will that get me closer? I'm really bad at math. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay, so 15 minutes forward. Yep. 15 minutes forward. And 15 minutes forward. Okay, that got me. Okay, wait. And now I'm exactly back where I started. Okay. I should have foreseen that happening. Uh, this is an incredibly powerful tool, but my only increments to change the time are 15 minutes an hour and a day. So I'm limited to some extent by that. Yeah, so maybe go stretch your legs. Take a deep breath. Take a fresh breath. And then we'll be back. I'm just gonna stay here. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess I'll just stay here and talk about all the things that the breath mints have been through. So, if you're not familiar with Blaseball Radio 2, I've been broadcasting breath mints games here for about, gosh, I think I started back in season 5, maybe season 5. I started calling games, period, back in season 3 when we were just a general broadcasting station. We broadcast all sorts of games. That was back, way back in season 3, I think, is when I started broadcasting those games. I think I became a Mint-specific broadcaster, or we at the station here became a Mint-specific broadcaster in season 4, season 5. And since then, we have called so many Kansas City Breath Mints games. Because of the way that this transmission website saves past broadcasts and then gets rid of them. A lot of those are just lost to the sands of time, unfortunately. So there's a lot of great Blaseball and specifically Kansas City Breath Mints history that's lost. But I've been archiving the broadcasts recently so that I can have a record going forward. And I can just tell you that watching the Breath Mints over these 22 seasons, I guess 21 seasons that I've been a fan, has been frankly incredible. In terms of broadcasting, I'm just an intern here at Blaseball Radio 2. I'm not an expert at all. But as a Breath Mints fan, this team has been through so much. It's kind of incredible that they are where they are. I mean, when we started, I joined in season 2. And we were a perfectly average to bad team, I would say. We had 2 3-star hitters, I think. Hewitt Best and I think Eddie Ingram was a 3-star hitter. And all of the rest were below that. We didn't have any ace pitchers. The only ace pitcher the 8 ace pitchers that we made ended up elsewhere. Not elsewhere as in, elsewhere within the game, but at other teams. Polka Dot Patterson was a Season 1 Breath Mint who was maximized and then taken by the Moist Talkers. Axel Trollolo was maximized with an arm cannon and then eventually was taken by the Firefighters, I think, the following season. So it's been a lot of making the most of a set of tools, or set of players, I should say, who were not optimal. These were never the best players in the league. It was very rare to see a Kansas City Breath Mint on the Blaseball reference leaderboards outside of stolen bases. The Mints have always been good at base running. That's really what we focused on at the beginning, is we had blessings that were less competitive because people didn't really prioritize defense and base running. And so that's what we targeted. And we got a couple base running blessings. We got a couple defense blessings, and then we had an incredibly long blessings drought as the game got bigger and other teams got more and more votes as the economy got inflated. And so until Wills came along, really, we were just kind of at the whims of fate, really, when it came to elections and how other teams changed around us. And there were seasons where things did go our way. In the season 6 elections, the Breath Mints won the headliners blessing, which reorganized your team in order of who was more or less idolized. And the Mints did some incredible work in the Discord. Shout out to Ducks and Val and Ton, I think, who were all instrumental in figuring out what the optimal lineup was for the Breath Mints in terms of the on-base percentage and some of the other measurables that we could look at for our players. And so they organized our players and put together an incredible lineup with Boyfriend Montreal leading the line because Boyfriend had incredible moxie, which meant that they walked more than basically any other player in the league. I think that's true. I think that they were the number one walked hitter. If not, they were in the top 5 easily. And then they were an incredibly talented base stealer. They were definitely in the top 5 for stolen bases for a number of seasons. And so with that, the Breath Mints went for a blessing that was almost completely uncontested, I think, and just made the most of it and put together this incredible lineup that dominated Season 7. It was the Mints' winningest season in franchise history, and they were just an unstoppable force, and it was really a perfect encapsulation of what the Breath Mints' strategy had been to that point, which is just fly under the radar, make the most of what you have, and it worked right up until day 96 of Season 7. Which is when Boyfriend Montreal, the leadoff hitter, was incinerated, replaced with a player who was basically the opposite in every respect, and the Mints then flamed out in the first round of that postseason. And so that was a big heartbreaking moment for a lot of Kansas City Breath Mints fans, but it's one of a number that they've had to deal with over the seasons, which is why it's just remarkable. I can't get over it. I know that they're in the Internet League Series. I know that they have a 2-win lead, but I just looking back at everything that's happened, it's really hard to believe, and it's a testament to the Kansas City Breath Mints spirit because since wills were introduced, outside of a couple Wimdies early on, the Breath Mints just completely dominated the league with their organization, and have had, I think, 8 elections in a row where they've gotten all of the wills that they wanted, thanks to Parliament and everyone voting along the lines of what was decided collectively. And so the Breath Mints have improved incrementally and incrementally and incrementally until a couple big moves, one of which was completely out of their hands, which was the plot taking away Uncle Plasma being removed along with Liquid Friend from the game 2 seasons ago, which left the Mints with a 2-pitcher rotation, which was originally Winnie Hess and Leach Ingram, and then ended up being Winnie Hess and Lucas Petty after Leach Ingram faxed and then voicemailed, which put her in the lineup. And then the Mints made their other big move, which was to take Michelle Sportsman from the Unlimited Tacos, and that has proven to be the decisive one here in Season 22. All of that to say that I'm so proud of the Kansas City Breath Mints. I'm so moved to be part of this community. I'm so moved to have gotten to this point with everyone else. And to be able to celebrate last night after beating the Lovers in that 16-game series was about as emotional as I've ever felt about Blaseball. Just because, again, it was one of those instances where it looked like things might start to go wrong, but this time they finally did it. And we've had so many incredible community members come and go over the seasons because, again, Blaseball can be a lot for people. And there have been so many disappointments, and so it was incredible to get to reflect on those people and the community that we've put together. All of that to say, I cannot put into words how excited I am to call this a potentially decisive Game 3 here between the Tokyo Lift and the Kansas City Breath Mints. Again, polarity weather is at play, so anything could happen. Polarity weather basically just means that the best team doesn't necessarily win because it all depends on what the polarity is when you're scoring your runs. So we'll see if the Mints are able to do it here in Game 3. If not, I have confidence that in Game 4 they could do it because this is an incredible team, honestly. I know that we talk a lot about the the Gay Pirate thruple who we recruited for the late season and postseason, and they've been amazing, of course. But this is just a strong team outside of that. And it's a strong team because of all the work that so many people have put in. So I love you, Breathmints. I'm so proud to be a Breathmint. And with 5 seconds left on the clock, fresh breath. Here we are. Let's get into it, though, here in Game 3 of the over bracket for Season 22 of Internet League Blaseball. We've got Winnie Hess on the mound for the Kansas City Breathmints. And we have somebody else, Silver Semiquaver, on the mound for the Lift. The Breathmints will pitch first. Winnie Hess will pitch first here in this game. Currently Polarity Plus, which means that runs scored will just be normal runs. We have no underhanded pitchers at play here, so run is a run. And yeah, the only thing that changes that is this little symbol up here. So if you see this turn red, it means that runs become unruns. Yusuf Fenestrate at the plate, leading off for the Lift, and strikes out looking at another one of those just impossibly fast four-seam fastballs that Winnie Hess has learned to pitch over the last couple of seasons as her ruthlessness has grown. Bad contact, though, leads to a grounder. So we've got 2 up, 2 down here for the Lift in the top of the first. Theodore Honeywell looking to get on base here. Of course, none Lift got on base in Game 1 of the postseason, which was Winnie Hess's perfect game. Theodore Honeywell will strike out, though, looking at another fastball. And so we've got 3 up, 3 down, and 2 strikeouts there. The first for Winnie Hess, who is determined, I think. Goodwin Foran will lead off for the Breathmints here in the bottom of the first, top of their lineup. And Foran will look to get on base here. Elsewhere, we already have runners at the corner for the Millennials, and we already have a run. So the Dahlia are well on their way to sweeping the Millennials in the under bracket. Foran with a 2-2 count after tipping 1 foul. And gets on top of a breaking ball there. Slaps that to Cool Name Galvanic at the shortstop position. Thrown out at first, and we've got 1 out on the board here for the Mints in the bottom of the first. Rodriguez Internet will step up to the plate next. And immediately fly out to Cool Name Galvanic, who steps back from that shortstop position and collects easily enough. So 2 up, 2 down here in the bottom of the first. I guess that is one thing that could affect polarity weather. If you have very good pitchers, then it doesn't necessarily matter, as we see Helg Washington hit a fly out. Because if you just don't score any runs, then it doesn't matter what the polarity is. That's the basic logic, I would say. All right. Top of the second inning, Cool Name Galvanic leading off for the Lift. Who, coming into this one, were 37% underdogs. Galvanic will chop one into the ground for Tooney Doctor to collect at shortstop. Throws out at first, and that's 1 up, 1 down for Winnie Hess. Even count of 1-1 here for Elwin McGee. And a 1-2 count after looking at a 138-mile fastball from Winnie Hess. Barely gets a little tip of that second fastball for the 1-2. And then another one misses outside for the 2-2. But third one does not miss. And that is another strikeout for Winnie Hess, who I think is up to 3 so far over 2 innings. Well, 1 2/3 inning, I guess. Grawless effort at the plate now racks up a quick 0-2 count on the back of a foul ball that lands in the stands and strikes out swinging. So Winnie Hess with 4 strikeouts, I believe, in 2 innings. Or 5 strikeouts, I should say, in 2 innings. I don't know. A lot of strikeouts in 2 innings. A lot. That much is for sure. Silver Semiquaver on the mound for the Lift. Alden Cash Money will lead off for the Mets. You can see Silver Semiquaver, a decent pitcher. 4.4 stars isn't that good, though, nowadays with all of the star inflation that we have and generally overpowered pitchers. Still in positive polarity, so if the Mints score a run here, it will be a run, not an unrun. Alden Cash Money, though, doesn't get a board, instead provides the first out. Valentine Games, the third, VG3, follows up with a grounder along the third base. Nope, that was along the first base line, actually. Easily collected by the first base person, Honeywell, and forced out. So another out happens, and inning number 2 is over. No runs scored in the first 2 here in Kansas City. Night Triumphant with a solo bomb. That thing goes and goes, and Kit Honey tries to latch onto it but cannot. And so it is just a single run, and we are still in positive polarity. And so the Lift will take the lead here in the top of the third inning with no outs on the board. And Kit Honey, Kit Honey. Sorry, it's confusing because they have a Honeywell and a Honey. Kit Honey at the plate here. But the polarity shifts. So now, if the Lift add on any runs, they will be unruns. Although, again, with Winnie Hess, you really have to take them where you can get them. So no perfect game repeat for Winnie Hess, who gives up a home run here in the top of the third. Kit Honey, though, will provide the first out of this at-bat for the Lift, who will now be looking to not score, I guess. 0-2 count here for Klein Greenlemon, who slaps a foul ball into the stands, and then follows that up with another one that does just stay fair for the base hit along the left side of the field. Ankle Halifax will step up to the plate next. Klein Greenlemon on first. I don't remember, but I seem to remember this Lemon being quite speedy, and I think that they are because they just stole second base. So a runner in scoring position with one out on the board. Ankle Halifax at the plate. Winnie Hess may be looking to tactically allow an unrun now that we're in negative polarity. Ankle Halifax, though, will strike out looking. And so we've got 2 outs, 1 on, and Yusuf Fenestrate at the plate, who immediately pops one fly to Mooney Doctor, 2. So the Lift tack went on before the polarity shift and now have a 1-0 lead, and the Breathments cannot score runs. They can only score unruns until this polarity shifts back to positive. So that's troubling, especially considering that they put 13 up in the last game against a much better pitcher. Tooney Doctor, though, will lead off for the Mints here in the bottom of the third. Pops one fly. Klein Greenlemon with that speed gets under it over in right field, and that's an easy out. So 1 up, 1 down. Marco Stink at the plate. The big bug from Dallas will immediately ground out to Kit Honey, maybe noticing the polarity and exercising some self-control. Leach Ingram remains elsewhere. Again, Leach going elsewhere in the first game of this Internet League Series. Goodwin Foreign will step up to the plate with 2 outs and immediately pop one fly to Klein Greenlemon, who's getting some work in over there in right field. That one was pretty close to the fence, it has to be said. Luckily, it didn't go out because a home run would be an unrun. That'll move us to the top of the 4th inning. Polarity still negative. Liquid Friend, the 14th, will bat for the Lift. Here in Kansas City, Liquid Friend, the 14th, underperforming, of course, because this is an away game. The Dale have tied things up against the Millennials, by the way, over in Miami. 0-2 count here for Liquid Friend. He strikes out swinging at a slider there, low and away. To notch another K for Winnie Hess, who is proving herself an increasingly potent strikeout pitcher. Theodore Honeywell will pop one fly for Rodriguez Internet behind first base. And that's 2 up, 2 down real quick here in the top of the 4th. If Winnie Hess wanted to give up a home run, I'm sure her teammates would not mind because that would bring the Lift back down to 0. 0-2 count here, though, for cool name Galvanic, who just got back in the count so quickly and struck out swinging on 3 pitches from Winnie Hess, who is, not messing around here in the 4th inning. Bottom of the 4th now, Rodriguez Internet will lead off for the Mints, who will be hoping that polarity shifts so that they can get back on the board. Internet, though, will ground out here for Liquid Friend. And Helg Washington will step up to the plate next. Gahino herself, known to hit some homers in her time, but instead grounds out to Gralla Zephyr. So the Mints offense actually tactically underperforming here in negative polarity. Alden Cashmoney II has a hard time underperforming and has a 0-1 count off of Silver Semiquaver. Even count of 1-1 has a cutter, misses high and away. And another misses high and inside. That one, Cashmoney had to back away from that one to avoid getting hit in the head, which is not a pleasant thing, especially with the way some of these Blaseball pitchers pitch. Semiquaver pitches a 3rd strike there, a swinging strike, and that'll close out the inning, moving us into the top of the 5th. Polarity still negative for the Tokyo Lift. Elwin McGee with the leadoff base hit. That one splitting 2nd and 3rd. So McGee will get aboard here. And the Mints will be hoping that, of course, as soon as the Lift get a leadoff runner aboard, the polarity shifts. So now the Lift can score regular runs and extend their lead with that runner on, and Growlithe Zephyr with a base hit between first and second that time. So back-to-back base hits. Winnie Hess allowing 2 on with no outs. Knight Triumphant at the plate to try to bat them in. 0-1 count here for Knight Triumphant, and even count of 1-1 after a 4-seamer misses low and inside. But Elwin McGee will be forced out by Knight Triumphant advancing to first. Fielder's choice coming into play to give the Mints the first out here in the top of the 5th. Oh, Winnie Hess, you devious horse. Sets up Kit Honey for the double play. 5-4-3 double. Easy enough for the Mints to turn. And that's scoreless inning for the Lift. Bottom of the 5th now, the Mints with a chance to get on the board with positive polarity. Valentine Games the 3rd, leading off for them. VG3, known to slug some in their day, with a 3-run bomb, I think, in the last game. 3-2 count here, though, for Valentine Games, who puts that plate discipline to use and draws a walk on the full count off of Silver Semiquaver. So a leadoff walk here in the bottom of the 5th with positive polarity. And Valentine Games, VG3, as they are wont to do, will steal into scoring position for Jitters. Oh, we got another letter. Jitters. Oh, no, we already had the S. Jitters. Jitters with 1-1 count off of Silver Semiquaver. And a 1-2 count now. Jitters slaps one deep into right field, and that thing is gone for a 2-run home run, which Toonie Doctor latches on to. 180 reverse jam, which scores 3 here in the bottom of the 5th, and the Mints take the lead in positive polarity, taking advantage of the ability to score runs. Marco Stink with the triple. Oh, golly, Marco Stink. That one was only a couple feet away from being another home run out in left field. Marco Stink will hold at third. Doesn't even have to slide, though. And the Mints have a sac play available, but the polarity shifts, so they don't want that sac play now because it'll be a negative run for Goodwin Foran, who's at the plate here with 1 out. And Goodwin Foran with the base hit to score Marco Stink, and it's a none run. So that'll bring the Breath Mints down to 2. This is why nobody likes polarity weather, because it's literally the flip of a coin. But the Mints still have a 1-run lead. They have a runner on. I'm sure that the Mints will be hoping that Internet's able to ground out before Foran can steal to third, because another sac play would tie the game, and Goodwin Foran does steal to third, so the strikeout will be the only thing keeping Foran away, but it's not a strikeout. Gets on top of a curveball there to chop it to Liquid Friend, and Foran advances on the sacrifice, so we've got a tie game because polarity weather is just the worst. It's just terrible. Postseason polarity weather. I mean, come on, who does that? The Dale dangerously close to taking the lead over there in Miami, by the way, as Helg Washington grounds out to Kit Honey. And the Dale do take the lead. 3-2 in Miami in the bottom of the 4th in that one. All right, so tie game after the Mints put up 5 runs, but 2 of them were unruns. No, more than 2. They put up 5 runs, and 4 of them ended up. This is too much for me. The game is tied, even though the Mints scored more runs. That's all you need to know. We're in the top of the 6th. Klein Greenlemon strikes out looking at a 4-seamer from Winnie Hess. And that's kind of the problem with Winnie Hess and polarity weather, is that she just won't allow runs. So she won't allow, by the transitive property, unruns. Akel Halifax gets on top of another breaking ball there. And Alden Cash Money is able to collect that one. That'll bring Yusuf Fenestrate to the plate for the Lift. Fenestrate with a 1-0 count after a rare ball from Winnie Hess, and an even count of 1-1. 2-1 count now for Yusuf Fenestrate, as Winnie Hess misses with a couple fastballs and then locks in with another one that Fenestrate can only look at for the 2-2. Stays alive, though, with the tipped foul. That one was in the strike zone. but unable to get on top of that other fastball, which just dipped into the top right corner of the strike zone. And that'll move us to the bottom of the sixth. All things even here. We're still in negative polarity weather, so Breathman's fans will be hoping that their team does not produce any more offensive runs. Alden Cash Money, true to form, or true to what the Breathmans need right now, I should say, providing the first out real quick. And polarity shifts again, so now the Mints are allowed to score runs, and it shifts back immediately. This is silly. This is just dumb. Valentine Games hits a solo home run that lands in the bucket, and the Mints are in negative runs. This is, I can't believe this. So the Breath Mints, -1 to 1, because the polarity decided to shift twice, back-to-back, and Jadurs decides that now is the time for an extra base hit, that one. Just splitting second and third into neutral territory, but then a fumble allows Jadurs onto third. Tooney Doctor hits a double, and Jadurs scores. So the Mints are down to -3 because Tooney's magnified, so that doubles the runs. This sucks. This is terrible. I hate this. The Breathmans trail -3 to 1 against the Lift. I said at the start of the game, I'm confident that if the Breathmans drop this, that they'll be able to win the next one as long as it's not also in polarity weather. Or I guess black hole weather could also complicate things. But I think that this is fine. This is okay. The Breathmans can drop this clown game, as Yuri says in the chat, and it'll be all right. 2 outs now for the Breathmans, who trail by 4 runs because the weather decided to be dumb. Marco Stink draws a walk, and so the Mints once again have a runner aboard. Leach Ingram doing her part by being elsewhere. And so we've got 2 out with 1 on. Goodwin Foreign at the plate here for the Breathmans, and Foreign grounds out to Klein Greenlemon to close out what is just a nightmare clown inning for the Mints. That'll move us into the top of the 7th. The Mints now trail by 4, courtesy of negative polarity. All right, Liquid Friend will lead off for the Lift. And Liquid Friend will get out almost immediately. The game log skipped there, but I'm assuming it was either a ground out or a fly out. Theodore Honeywell does ground out to Jadurs. And we've got 2 outs on the board for Cool Name Galvanic, who will step up to the plate and look to get aboard. I'm sure the Mints fans are rooting for this as much as the Lift fans are. Or as much as the Lift fans aren't. Okay, well now conveniently the polarity shifts when the Lift are batting. This is rigged. Come on, somebody wants the Breathmints to fail here. Unluckily for them, the Breathmints don't know how to fail. They've forgotten how to fail in Season 22. They knew how to fail in Rodriguez Internets with the long line drive that just goes over the right field wall. That one just getting over the wall. In positive polarity to reduce the deficit to 3. 1 to -2 here for the Mints, who are allowed to score runs here in the bottom of the 7th. And Helg Washington pops one fly to Kit Honey in left field. Gets under that one, and that's an easy out. Alden Cashmoney then will step up to the plate with 1 out on the board, no runners on, and a 3-run deficit to make up. Really need to take advantage of this positive polarity while it lasts, because as we saw in the last inning, it can switch at the drop of a hat. It can turn on a dime. 2-1 count here for Alden Cash Money, who on the 3-1 pitch grounds out to Kit Honey. And sometimes that plate discipline is lacking for these baseball players. VG3 will step up next with a chance to score some positive runs here with even count of 1-1, 2 outs on the board. Mints, as we've seen before, perfectly happy to rally with 2 outs on the board. And a 2-1 count here for VG3. But VG3 pops one fly to Liquid Friend the 14th. And that'll close out inning number 7, moving us into the top of the 8th. The Mints able to tack 1 run on and get 1 run closer to getting out of the hole here in the 7th. Top of the 8th, Elwin McGee leading off for the Lift, facing down the Big Horse, who does not want to let anyone score now because that would just be a normal run. Elwin McGee strikes out looking at a four-seamer. Those four-seamers have so much ride on them that they almost knuckle because they're going so fast. But yeah, nothing you can really do about it. Okay, I see that the Dale are now leading 7-2 over there in Miami, but it is black hole weather, so they could loop and lose and take the series, I believe. Knight Triumphant up to bat next for the lift with 2 outs. Yeah, Minty proof. I agree. Back in my day, the numbers only went up. Knight Triumphant with 2 outs on the board. Polarity still positive, and 1-2 count here off of Winnie Hess. Pops one fly to Marco Stink. The big bug putting those extra legs to work. And collects it easily enough to close out that at-bat. Move us to the bottom of the 8th. The Mints again with a chance to score some positive runs here. And bottom of the 8th, historically, when the Mints sometimes come to life. Jaders slaps one between first and second base. That one with enough velocity to just make it past the second base person. And Tooney considered a trade, but I guess the lift have garbage items or something. Tooney did not want anything. Tooney with that trader modifier, which lets her take items from other players in exchange for her own items. So we've got one on with no outs here for Tooney Doctor, who's already batted in some unruns earlier in this game. Now with a chance to bat in some runs, which is what I'm calling them from now on during polarity games. Oh, Allie. Oh, Tooney with the triple, with the extra base hit. That one into left field, and that'll bring Jaders home. So, again, Tooney bats and Jaders. This time they're positive runs, and that'll bring the Breathmints to 0. So the Breathmints rallying here with no outs in the bottom of the 8th. They are coming to life, folks. It's happening. We're manifesting it. It's happening. Anyway, as I was saying, Allie pointed out that the 5th base is at play. The lift do have the 5th base, and Marco Stink rounds out to get Honey, and Tooney will score on the sacrifice. So that'll bring us to a tie game here in the bottom of the 8th. These Mints, they know when to come clutch sometimes. Leach Ingram. Whoa, Leach Ingram's back. Leach Ingram comes back from elsewhere and slams a solo bomb over the right field fence. You can't script this, folks. Oh my God, Leach Ingram. Okay, I'm going to say this. Leach Ingram has always been clutch in the postseason. She's always done exactly what she needed to do. And I guess I missed the message about her coming back. But she came back and immediately slammed a go-ahead home run in the bottom of the 8th. Leach Ingram, my beloved. The Mints will go into the top of the 9th, leading the Tokyo Lift 2-1, and polarity stays positive. So they do have to make sure that the Lift don't score here. But if they do, they're 3 outs away from sweeping their way to the Internet League Series. Kid Honey strikes out swinging, and so that's 1 down. When he has just with 2 more to carry the Mints to their first ever championship. Klein Greenlemon at the plate now. Pops one fly to Helga Washington. Easy enough to collect out there in right field. And now the Mints are 1 out away. Ankle Halifax, the last chance for the Lift to get back into this one. A fastball 2-seamer this time for the 0-1 count. Can't do anything about it, but look, and another 2-seamer, this one high and inside, but just in the strike zone, just nicks the corner for the 0-2. 1-2 count now after another one misses high and inside. And Ankle Halifax strikes out looking, and the Mints have done it. The Kansas City Breathmints are Internet League Series champions after 22 seasons. Winnie Hess carrying the team through a polarity weather nightmare in which the Mints put up way more runs than it shows on the scoreboard. But the Mints sweep the Tokyo Lift in Kansas City and become the Season 22 Internet League Series champions. Oh my God, folks. It's incredible to watch. It's incredible to sit here and see that the Kansas City Breathmints have won the Internet League Series. not just won it, they've swept the Internet League Series, and they swept the Crabs in the semifinals, and they went 3-1 against the San Francisco Lovers. This team is amazing. This fan base is amazing, and it's been such a privilege to witness it and witness the growth over these seasons. Oh golly, I'm getting emotional. I'm sorry, folks. It's something else to see it happen, um, and to realize that so many people have worked so hard, and this community has put so much love into this team, and they've done it. they they won. The Breathmints won the Internet League Series in the expansion era. We've lost so many players. We've lost so many incredible players. Hewitt Best, Boyfriend Montreal. We've lost community members over this time. Just over the course of Blaseball progressing and going on siestas, people drift in and out. But so many of us have stuck around and put in the work, and the Breathmints are Internet League Series champions. Oh, golly. Well, I don't know what else to say. Damn, it feels good to be a Breathmint. And just for old time's sake, for everybody who's been along for this ride, fresh breath, here we come. Kansas City #1. This time for real. Oh, golly. Well, until next time, until next season, my name has been Blaseball Radio 2 host. This has been Blaseball Radio 2, an unofficial home for Kansas City Breathmints Blaseball. And I hope until next time, you keep it minty. The Breathmints. The Breathmints.